Real Madrid is currently a mess. And not just any mess. This mess is one of the craziest messes I have ever seen this club in. Everything is going wrong at the end of the season for this club. Everything that couldn't get any worse, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Every single time we turn up the TV, every time you go to social media, just when you think you've seen the worst out of this Madrid season, these players, this squad, this team continues to embarrass and humiliate themselves in the eyes of the public. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back to Omar Talks Football. And here's the thing. Real Madrid, usually, when it crashes, it burns when it comes to this club. I have seen this club have terrible seasons. And usually, it's not always what you see on the pitch. It's also what happens off the pitch. When you hear news about what's happening in the locker rooms, when you listen to what's happening to the managers, the clashes that is happening. And usually, when you hear clashes, you hear a clash of words, or maybe a clash in philosophy, or a clash in opinions. But now, we're actually seeing some actual clashes in the most literal sense that you can put it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. We've got, WrestleMania has already come and gone, but I am genuinely surprised. We should probably put these two matches in the next pay-per-view in WWE at this point. Because, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Within the last week, during Madrid training sessions, Rudiger slapped Álvaro Carreras in the face, and Tchouameni and Valverde had a brawl, squaring up to fight, and had to be stopped. And according to many reports, some players are not speaking to each other anymore. Jesus. Nah, man. Nah, you know what, right? I know as a Barca fan, this is hilarious, but this is insane. This is absolutely insane. I mean, the one that's really been catching the most attention is the Federico Valverde versus Aurélien Tchouameni battle, right? Because that has gotten worse, right? Because this was reported a few days ago, right, that these two men had a fight, right? And we were thinking, okay, one fight is already enough, right? One fight is already enough, right? You never want to hear fights and issues happening in the locker room or any of those things. You never want to hear those things. But ladies and gentlemen, it's gotten from bad to worse. Because if you think that them fighting once was bad enough, Tchouameni and Valverde fought again today in the training session. Once again, they got into a fight. And apparently, today's fight was actually even worse than the one we saw a few days ago, because this is basically the gist of what Madrid Zone came out and mentioned, right? They basically said that this is what happened basically today in the training session, right? Valverde went up to Tchouameni, basically accusing him of leaking the fight that they had a few days ago, right? On the press, and then Tchouameni denied it basically, and tried to, try to de-escalate the situation. Tchouameni tried to calm him down. However, Valverde wasn't hearing any of it. He started pushing Aurélien Tchouameni, and Aurélien Tchouameni ended up snapping and ended up punching him in the face and ended up cutting him apparently head and knocking him out unconscious. And Federico Valverde had to be taken out to a hospital on a wheelchair. I mean, jeez, oh my days, this is absolutely insane. I'm not joking, guys. I have been supporting Barca for 20 years. I have never seen anything like this happen in my club. Never. This is incredible to see. I mean, we've seen this. We've seen crash outs at Real Madrid. We've seen the players' egos go to another level. But this is actually something else. This is deep. This is genuinely deep, guys. I'm not even trying to make a joke out of this. This is actually insane, right? To hear something like this happening. And the crazy thing is, these two players are two of Madrid's key players in the midfield. This is basically Madrid's pivot. Long term, Federico Valverde and Aurélien Tchouameni are literally the midfield pivot of Real Madrid. And they're clashing like this. These kinds of clashes, guys, these kind of clashes don't end well. It usually ends with one of them either leaving. Now, I don't know. At the end of the day, I have no idea. But if it's as bad as many people are saying it is, then this could get really worse. This could get 100 times worse. This could go to a point where neither of these two players can be in the same pitch together. And with the Clasico coming up, it's all come from the neither of these guys are going to be playing, right? Apparently not just because of Valverde being injured because of the whole situation, but also disciplinary action, which is 100% correct. At the end of the day, this is a disgrace, an absolute disgrace to come out of Real Madrid, to hear things like this happening. You never want to see your players fighting each other on the pitch. This is actually nuts. And you know what's crazy, right? Madrid Zone really go into detail about this because they have a lot of things that they mentioned, right? Well, basically, this is basically the point that apparently Federico Valverde and Aurélien Tchouameni haven't really been seen eye to eye for a while. Apparently, this has been something that has been brewing for a very, very long time, right? And if that is the case, you have to wonder where exactly the roots of this situation comes from. You have to wonder because, look, I don't want to make any speculations, right? Because it's easy for people to make the speculation of, oh, this is Mbappe and Vini's fault, because everything seems to be Mbappe and Vini's fault these days. But this is actually insane because I've heard rumors that apparently a lot of people are saying that it's a lot to do with the Mbappe and Vini camp. There are people in the locker room that are separated. Some are pro Vini and some are pro Mbappe. And I'm not saying that that's the reason why this fight is happening, but a lot of people are saying that, you know, Valverde is more of a, you know, he's on Vini's side more and Tchouameni is more on his countryman's side in Mbappe, right? And I don't know if that is the reason why this fight is happening, but if it is, then my good Lord Almighty, this Mbappe deal has genuinely been the kiss of death for this club. It has been. I have heard of curses. This has got to be the biggest curse probably in football history, if it's true. Now, I'm just saying, it's speculation. I cannot confirm or deny that's the case of why these two are fighting. But I'm just speculating here. But this is actually insane to think, right? To see this happen in a locker room. Because, and this is the thing, right? I have to, first of all, I have to mention something here because apparently this is what happened, right? Let me actually see. There's another footage basically of the situation here. So apparently this is it. Give me a moment, guys. I'm trying to find the source. So basically, a source that came out is that this morning when they arrived in training, I was trying to look for the source, but basically, what happened apparently this morning is that when both of these two players came into training this morning, right? Aurélien Tchouameni tried to confront, or basically not confront, but basically talk to Federico Valverde. He tried to come up to him, shake his hand, trying to de-escalate the tension between these two men, right? He tried to. Apparently, Tchouameni was the one that made the first move to try to, you know, de-escalate the situation. However, Federico Valverde wasn't hearing any of it because Federico Valverde apparently really believes that it was Tchouameni who leaked the fight between the two of them to the media, right? And basically, Federico Valverde was being petty. He refused to shake his hand. In fact, he wanted to fight him even more. Apparently, that is what made the fight, what happened today happen, right? And that is just insane because Federico Valverde is supposed to be one of the leaders of the team. That is the thing, right? I mean, it's one thing, you know, you talk about, you know, if this is like a Vini where we know Vini is someone that's very emotional, right? But Federico Valverde is supposed to be one of the leaders of the locker room, right? If you're in a fight and the fight is leaked to the media, even if you believe, whatever you believe, you can believe that it was Tchouameni who leaked it to the media, fine, whatever. But it's one thing doing that, but then you are one of the leaders. You've got a big game coming up in the weekend. Don't you want to just de-escalate the situation, come back to train and play well? But apparently not. He refused to shake his hand. And even worse, apparently when they were in training and they were actually training, Federico Valverde was making an attempt to hurt Aurélien Tchouameni, which I'm sure would have pissed off Tchouameni even more. Because it's one thing you don't want to make peace with me, but now you're actually trying to hurt me. And when I'm one of the key players and we have a game coming up in the weekend, it's insane, man. It is absolutely insane. And if that is the case, Federico Valverde needs to hang himself in shame. I mean, look, as a Barca fan, I can sit here and laugh. And don't get it twisted, this is hilarious to me. I'm just speaking as somebody who I am just speaking as unbiased here. Federico Valverde should hang himself in shame because you're supposed to be the captain. You're one of the captains of this team. You're supposed to be the captain, right? You're one of the leaders in the squad, and you're doing this. Before you were playing one of the biggest games of your season, because if you lose to us, that's it. You basically hand us the league, which is gonna be embarrassing for not just Real Madrid but its fans. But you're doing this. Honestly, it is a joke, man. It is an absolute joke, man. What is happening at the club right now. And look, that's not the only fight that's happened. Apparently, and this is the one that basically, because of the whole attention was kind of put on the Valverde Tchouameni fight. Now we're apparently hearing that on the other side, on the other match card in the pay-per-view, we have Rudiger and Álvaro Carreras, and apparently Rudiger slapped Álvaro Carreras in the face. Jeez. And the crazy thing is, Álvaro Carreras actually had a statement come out, right? He mentioned a statement which Fabrizio Romano came out and mentioned. This is the statement he mentioned. He says, in recent days, certain insinuations and comments about me have emerged that don't correspond in reality. My commitment to this club and to the coaches, my commitment to this club and to the coaches has been unwavering since day one, and it will continue to be so. Since I returned, I have always worked to the highest level of professionalism, respect, and dedication. I have fought very hard to fulfill my dream of returning home. Regarding the incident with my teammate, it is an isolated matter without importance that has already been resolved. My relationship with the entire club is good. Hala Madrid. I mean, jeez, like, I mean, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. I mean, I don't know what is happening. What was the whole gist of why that happened? Apparently, Tchouameni, Rudiger has not been happy with Álvaro Carreras' performances on the pitch. Now, I'm a little confused about that, because if that's the case, then wouldn't you just, maybe talk to him on the side? Why do you have to slap him on the face? Bro, it is crazy, man. It's absolutely insane. This is some of the most insane things I have seen all season. Honestly. And I'm looking at this whole situation, and you think about this whole situation, you think this team needs a real coach of character, because it takes a coach with some serious ego in him to be able to deal with this egomaniac club. I'm not even kidding. This Madrid team is genuinely one of the worst I've seen in my life. Not just on the pitch, but also in the locker room. Because here's the difference. The Galacticos of the first era, right, which was a chaos as well, that team, you could understand why they had an ego. That was a team full of world-class players who had done it at the top level for years. A lot of the players, from the Beckhams to the Figos to the R9s, all of those superstars that you saw in that squad, they had all done it at the highest level. They were all amazing. They all had credentials for club and country. So the ego was warranted. A lot of these players don't have half of the success that many of those guys had during their time in this club. But somehow these players have twice, 3 times, 4 times the ego that Galacticos team has. Literally, one season of trophyless, and this is the kind of chaos that happens. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. But you guys let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what you guys are saying. Right? Barcelona, we play Real Madrid this weekend, and when you really think about how bad of a season they've had, I just think it's time for us Barcelona to finally put an end to their misery and put 2 bullets, or basically put them at the back of the barn and end their season finally. But let me know what you guys are saying in the comment section below. Make sure you guys smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and peace. Pesca Barça.